Political analyst Omry Makgoale joins us now. Omry, good morning to you. Thank you very much for being with us on this holiday weekend. We appreciate your time. This, for some observers would be have been a foregone conclusion in terms of the pursuit that the MK party was making, and particularly in the aftermath of references from their leadership that Zuma was going to be their presidential candidate.
Yes, I think it would have been a mistake legally for the MK party to consider a former president as a candidate, because they are aware that he was sentenced for 15 months, for not appearing at the Zondo Commission. And under the current law, if you were sentenced more than 12 months, then you cannot be a candidate for elections. This is the law. So MK party leadership would have been aware of that, I guess.
Yeah, but it certainly seems as if they've been talking strong, and we recall, of course, earlier this week their victory in the electoral court, against the ANC, in the celebrations, again, as early as this week, saying that he was going to be their presidential candidate, knowing full well that in terms of the electoral law and the stipulations that were reiterated by the IEC Chair Mosotho Moepya yesterday, that it would preclude them, notwithstanding the fact that somebody objected to his candidacy.
Yes, it is their wish to use the former president because they think he's more popular, especially in KZN and some part of Gauteng, for them to get more votes with him as a presidential candidate. But in terms of the law, he does not qualify because he was sentenced for more than 12 months. So they will have to get an alternative candidate for that. But of course, they can still use him for campaigning. He can still campaign for the party and still make maybe MK party to get more votes even if he's not the presidential candidate. So he is still an asset for them even under these conditions. But of course we hope there will not be any violence or riots because he is not a presidential candidate, from MK party.
Well, we're going to chat to them shortly, hopefully, about some other developments in the story, but also around the possibility of them appealing this. We know that they do still have some time in terms of being able to, to appeal this decision, and for that maybe possibly to have another outcome. Who knows? But given what's happened and the positioning of Zuma among, their candidates or among the faces of the party, responsible, according to polls anyway, for some of the popularity that's now been attached to MKP since he, stood up and said that he would campaign on their ticket. How much does this serve or hurt the MK party?
It will affect it, but I believe not so much, but it will affect it because if the face of former President Zuma was on the ballot, the face, most of them, they know the face, those who support him. So some would have voted because they see the face, and maybe with just an emblem or logo of MK alone without the face, they might lose some few votes, I believe. So it will affect it in one way or another. But unfortunately, that's how the law goes, and so he's not going to be there in the ballot, I think.
So we see the MK party also saying, Omry, that they will have their elective conference after the elections. We've seen some of the new names attached to their executives, national organizer, the former police minister, Nkosinathi Nhleko. What do you make of how it's trying to beef up, its ranks with people who have served, politically for better or worse?
Look, I think it's a form of cope in one way or another. In a sense that most of the people who form this MK political party come from the ANC, most of them. And so it is not the differences of policies with the ANC. It's only difference of personalities, personality clashes. The same clashes, between Zuma and Ramaphosa. In the other time, it was the clashes between President Mbeki and Zuma when COPE got formed. So it's personality clashes. It's not policy differences. Most of these parties, I would say, whether you look at UDM, COPE, EFF, and MK political party, have formed these splinter parties, not because of policy issues, but more because of personality clashes. So, these parties are formed because the ANC has been extremely corrupt. If the ANC was clean and ethical, most of these parties would have evaporated, would not be there.
Well, given the fortunes of COPE, I mean, they had a promising start at the beginning, and then they saw support kind of fizzle, and they've been blighted, as we've seen over the last few years, by election battles. Have they kind of foregrounded the expectation that any splinter party from the ANC isn't likely to garner enough sustainable support?
I think it depends on how that splinter party goes about its business after its formation, you know. For instance, EFF is still there, relatively, when you compare maybe from PAC, when the PAC left in 1950-something, you look at UDM, and you look at COPE, you look at... So EFF is still there, but most of the other splinter parties that have left the ANC have not really survived and have not really thrived. And I think mainly because in terms of policies, ANC still has those policies that these people had. So, and most of these parties don't really have a good organizational structure. They don't have good organizers. And so to organize a political party, it's a lot of work. And most of these people don't have that skill of organizing political party. So I expect that MK party would not go long also, because I don't think they've got the organizational ability of the ANC. We'll see, but as it goes on, I mean, yeah, we'll see.
Those are famous last words, Omry. We will see. I just want to quickly ask you before I say goodbye to you, who do you think is winning the perception and the psychological wars, given how we've seen the ANC and the MK party manage, one or two crises since its formation, the ANC losing in the electoral court with regard to the registration of the name of, the MK party, and losing that one. Now again in the High Court in Durban around their logo and trademark. One is not sure because that matter hasn't been finalized yet. But in the court of public opinion and perception, who do you think's got the upper hand here?
Look, at the moment, I think, on a face value, MK political party has got that win, over that previous case. But I think that the main issue, man, is that the ANC, because of internal factions inside the ANC, some of the supporters of former President Zuma, that RET faction, I believe that they're actually sabotaging the ANC internally. And this delay in challenging the court, in challenging the MK political party registration, the delay of more than 2 months, I think it's internal sabotage. That's my view in any case. And because if it's not internal sabotage at Lituli House, then it's gross negligence. And both those two things are not good enough for us. So I think that the ANC is being undermined internally. That's my view. And I think that this has happened because Lituli House, whether it was sleeping because of negligence or it was sabotage. But this was not supposed to happen, that MK political parties registered, nothing happens to it. After 2 months, then people start screaming and running around. It's completely unacceptable.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing those thoughts. These conversations will continue to happen and develop depending also on what's happening inside the political space in South Africa. Highly, highly contested going into these May 29 elections. Omry Makgoale, political analyst and columnist, thank you very much for your time this morning.